Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Padajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Padajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Ashtotar Sri Srimad The Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Excuse me. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 20th day of October, 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 10, the opulence of the Absolute. Text 38, near the bottom of page 455. Dando Damayatam asmi, nitir, asmi, jigishatam, maunam, chaivasmi, guyanam, jnanam, jnanapatam, aham, dando damayatam nitirasmi jigishitam maunam chaivasmi guyanam jnanam jnanapatamaham dando damayatam nitirasmi jigishitam maunam chaivasmi guyanam jnanam jnanapatamaham dando damayatam nitirasmi jigishitam maunam chaivasmi guyanam jnanam jnanapatamaham. Sahadev. Dando damayatam nitirasmi jigishitam maunam chaivasmi guyanam jnanam jnanapatamaham. Tapas. No? Okay. Joseph? Dando damayatam nitirasmi jigishitam maunam chaivasmi guyanam jnanam jnanapatamaham. Luis, is that you? Want to try it? Dando damayatam nitirasmi jigishitam maunam chaivasmi guyanam jnanam jnanapatamaham. Prabhu, you want to try? Dando damayatam nitirasmi jigishitam maunam chaivasmi guyanam jnanam jnanapatamaham. Ladies. Dando damayatam nitirasmi jigishitam maunam chaivasmi guyanam jnanam jnanapatamaham. Go ahead. Dando damayatam nitirasmi jigishitam maunam chaivasmi guyanam jnanam jnanapatamaham. Dando damayatam nitirasmi jigishitam maunam chaivasmi guyanam jnanam jnanapatamaham. Dando damayatam nitirasmi jigishitam maunam chaivasmi guyanam jnanam jnanapatamaham. Is it Chad? Oh, Bhakta Ferdi.
Hare Krishna.
You want to chant?
Dando damayatam
Dando damayatam
nitirasmi jigishatam
nitirasmi jigishitam
maunam chaivasmi guyanam
maunam chaivasmi guyanam
jnanam jnanapatamaham
jnanam jnanapatamaham. All right, I'll read the synonyms. Danda, punishment. Damayatam, of all means of suppression. Asmi, I am. Nitihi, morality. Asmi, I am. Jigishitam, of those who seek victory. Maunam, silence. Cha, and eva, also. Asmi, I am. Guyanam, of secrets. Jnanam, knowledge, Jnanavatam, of the wise, Aham, I am. Translation, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, among all means of suppressing lawlessness, I am punishment, and of those who seek victory, I am morality. Of secret things, I am silence, and of the wise, I am the wisdom. Purport. There are many suppressing agents, of which the most important are those that cut down miscreants. When miscreants are punished, the agency of chastisement represents Krishna. Among those who are trying to be victorious in some field of activity, the most victorious element is morality. Among the confidential activities of hearing, thinking, and meditating, silence is most important, because by silence one can make progress very quickly. The wise man is he who can discriminate between matter and spirit, between God's superior and inferior natures. Such knowledge is Krishna himself. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So we often read, if you read Srila Prabhupada's books thoroughly, you'll find a description of the Mahabhagavat, the great devotees, pure devotees who walked this earth, such as Srila Prabhupada, and how they see Krishna in everything. They see Krishna in everything. And we're getting a little taste of that here in Krishna's description, answering Arjuna's question, how can I meditate on you in my daily life? And this is, many of these things here we may not think we come across so often, but Krishna is giving us a chance to see that whatever it is, just as you say, Krishna is the air, he's the breeze. Well, because that's his energy. It's in that manifestation of his energy. And the whole idea is that if you see something that reminds you of someone, right? They have a connection to it. Say, for instance, I remember when I used to be a kid, I used to be a big reader, and each of my favorite authors had their own style that I could immediately recognize. So when I read a passage, it wasn't identified, oh, this is definitely by Dickens, and this one is definitely by Faulkner, and so forth like that. So there's something of that person that is there in the style in which they write. Everyone knows that. And so, since Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and everything is a manifestation of his energy, then there's something of Krishna in everything, and you can see him there. So he's giving us examples of how you can do it. You can see it's like an expansion of the 7th chapter. You remember the 7th chapter? He started out, Rasoham Apsukonteya. He starts out, now I'm going to teach you how you can be conscious of me all the time. How your mind can be attracted to me. Maya saktamana parta yogam yunmana asangshayang samagyata gyasi tat shrinu. And Prabhupada picks up on that shrinu, and he has all these verses, I think, beginning with Shrinvatam Sakata Krishna in the purport, which is in the 2nd chapter. So then after a few verses, he starts, he starts enumerating the material energies. You remember? I think maybe the next verse. Boomer, Apple, Onano, Vayu, Kung, Mano, Buddha, Devata, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. All these comprise my lower energies. This is what he says. Aparayam, aparayam. These are apara, but there's para. Aparayam itasmin prakadamridime param. And what is the superior energy? Who knows, remembers? Jiva Bhutam, the living entities. So in this very world, where if we're Krishna conscious, we can suddenly see everything as a manifestation of Krishna. I mean, if you really tune into the Bhagavad Gita, where is there not a manifestation of earth? We're surrounded by it. And there's plenty of air, and there's tons of liquids, and we have the mind, intelligence. So all of these things we can see remind us of Krishna. Now in the human form of life, or actually in conditioned life in general, we're utilizing our senses and our mind and things to forget Krishna. This is the reason why we're here. We wanted to forget Krishna so we could try to enjoy in this world. You can't remember Krishna as the super soul and the supreme enjoyer and at the same time try to be an enjoyer. You have to forget, and Krishna gives us facility to forget. He has his Maya energy, potency. So Krishna consciousness, the discipline of Bhakti Yoga, is a systematic method by which you gradually become more and more Krishna conscious. Simply by in so many ways. The main philosophical ways. It means kind of Sankhya. Sankhya is counting and seeing. Welcome. Thanks for coming. Yeah, we'll give you a book and everything. You can sit there. Yeah. That's good. So we learned in the 7th chapter, we learned in so many places in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna identifies himself as the overseer of everything. Maya jakshena prakati suyate sacharacharam. Right? I am the supervisor or overseeing the workings of this material world. Now, of course, the foundation of our being able to appreciate the Bhagavad Gita is faith. We have to have faith in these words of Krishna and in the words of his pure devotee. And if we do, then we can begin to become more Krishna conscious even in the early stages of our life. But ultimately, we want this all to mature into attraction for Krishna and love for Krishna. That's the actual goal. And so that determination to use the facilities that we have, all of us, the mind, intelligence, the senses, wealth, whatever we have, in the service of Krishna. This is how we can develop the love for Krishna, by serving him, especially through chanting the holy name, and if possible, coming to the temple regularly, seeing the deities, doing service for the deities. We just had this fabulous festival yesterday. Whenever we have these big festivals, I always think, boy, we need a bigger temple. Maharaj, the first thing was, okay, everybody move over this way, but this way was already filled, so somehow I'm sitting back there. So, but with all of that, it was still very, very enlivening, and of course the unique clouds, I guess they're leaving them up there in case there's, okay, we want to have another. But it's always very nice, especially because this is Radha Giridhari's temple. Giridhari, means the lifter of the hill. So it's remembering him. So the whole point is that we start out, we're going to start out chanting Hare Krishna, but in terms of our purification on intelligence and learning more of the philosophy, we gradually understand through the Bhagavad Gita that this is all Krishna's energy, and Krishna's in our heart, you see. And if you believe that, and you can begin to see Krishna everywhere, and the glorification of Krishna when you go out on Hari Nam, you can say, well, this is all Krishna's playground. This is his world. It's not like we're going to some foreign place, this is his. So that's what he's doing here. He's giving Arjuna and all of us many different ways of seeing him in our daily lives. It's a training. And we should always, refer to the essential 4 verses. I'll just review them now. Does anyone remember which they are? 8 through 11. Right, thank you. All right, let's just read those again, because that's the essence of the whole thing. And it's really, if you read, when you read the Bhagavatam, there is a verse, several verses in the 2nd canto that are said to be the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. This is the original Bhagavatam spoken to Brahma and then expanded into what he had. So it begins, as this does, with Krishna declaring, I am the source of everything. I am God, right? So instead of Ahameva Sameva Agre Nanya Jatsarasat Param, which means before anything existed materially, I existed. And that means he's God, he's the source of everything. So Krishna says a similar thing. Text 8, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattak sarvam pravartate iti mutva bhajante mam bhura bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise, who perfectly know this, engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. That's an important verse. Then the next question, well, how? Well, Krishna gives a little hint in the next verse. Mat chittaman gata prana bodhiyantak parasparam katayantastamam nityam tushyanti chadamandicha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Now that is the imperative, the reason why we have an international society for Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said, I listen to a tape every day of his, and I remember him saying distinctly, this is why we have the society, the association, you know. And I think he was giving a talk in the third canto. Now in the third canto, there are 8 verses spoken by Lord Kapila Deva to his mother, Devahuti, which are all about association, the importance of association with sadhus. And within those 8 verses, there are 2 that are often quoted. The first is, well, who's a sadhu? Does anyone know? Titikshava, Karunika, Suridak Sarvadehinam, Ajata Shatta Vakshanta, Sadhavak Sadhabhushana. The first qualification is tolerance. And Prabhupada gives Jesus Christ as an example. Because the next one is Karunita, full of mercy, so therefore they're always preaching. And preaching means that you may get a lot of opposition, you know, and maybe even crucifixion. So you have to be tolerant. Suridak Sarvadehinam, the friend of every living entity. And Prabhupada makes the point in the tape, not just human beings, and the whole thing with cow protection and everything. Every living entity, you see, just like some insect comes in here, we try to get him out rather than get crushed under the feet of the devotees, because that's also auspicious, but it's better to be saved. So, Ajata Shatava, and because of all of this tolerance and compassion and friendship, he has no enemies. Meaning that he has no enmity toward anyone else. But those like, you know, Hiranyakashipu see the devotee as his arch enemy, you know. So the English language, you know, fails, but he has no enmity toward anyone. Ajata Shatravak, and therefore peaceful at heart. No enemies, and always tolerant and trying to serve. So then, but the interesting thing is that he doesn't mention devotional service in there. That's in the next verse. That's how you become a sadhu. Kapila Dev speaking as the Lord, as an incarnation, Krishna. Mayananyena bhavena bhaktim kurvanti yedvidham matkrate chaktasa karmanas chaktas svajana bandhava. So there's Mayananyena bhavena bhaktim, devotional service to me without any deviation. So the pure devotees become the sadhus. Bhaktim kurvanti yedvidham, with great determination, always serving. And for my sake, they'll give up any activity which is against devotional service. And they'll also, if there are impediments, will even give up their relations with their friends and family. If there are impediments, they don't have to be, but they. And then he goes on, and the point is, by this association, you pick up the mood of devotional service, if you can associate with pure devotees. So in a few verses, the most famous verse of these 8, this is the sadhu, I call it the sadhu sangashtaka. It happens to be 8 verses. So you can all chant along. There's another verse. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavantiritkarna rasaya nakata tadjoshanara shvapavarga vartmani shraddha ratir bhakta anukramishati. So satam prasanga. Now this word prasanga is interesting because the whole ashtaka began with the word prasanga. But there he's talking about great attachment. Prasanga mandalam pasham atmana kavayo vidu. These attachments that we build up in many lives in this world, there's very strong attachments. And even in the human form, we feel them. In different stages of our life, the attachments are different, but we're always after some kind of sense gratification, unless we're raised in a devotee family. So, prasangam ajanam pasham means very strong ropes of attachment. The wise, atmana kavayo vidu, the kavya, the wise person knows that same attachment has to be redirected toward the sadhus. Not first toward Krishna, but toward the sadhus. Saheva sadhu shukrato moksha dwaram apavatam. I put this into a little poem. Mundane attraction keeps us bound to birth and death infernal. But love for sadhus opens wide the doors to life eternal. So then he has this verse, Satam prasang, the same word, Satam prasangan mama virya samvido, bhavanti ritkana rasayana katha, tadjoshanara shrabhavarga vartmani, shadharati bhaktiranukramishiti. Such an important verse. So this, now here prasangan means meaningful association, meaning you don't just hang out, but you listen, you hear. The main thing is hearing from the real sadhus. So satam prasangan, what are you going to hear? Mama virya samvido, my descriptions of my powerful activity. This is Lord Kapila Dev speaking. You'll hear Krishna Katha, which is bhavanti ritkana rasayana katha, which is a very life-giving elixir for the heart and the mind. Ritkana and the ear, ritkana rasayana katha. Tadjoshanad, by this practice of just meeting with devotees, hearing from them, and you can also share some of your readings, and in other words, it's back and forth. Ashu, quickly, which is Apavarga Vartmani. And some of you are fairly new, so I'll go through this wonderful esoteric meaning of the word Apavarga. You know how Apavarga? Apavarga Vartmani means the path of liberation. So how does Apavarga come to mean liberation? The Pavargas. Anyone who knows the Sanskrit alphabet? There's different Vargas, right? Groups of letters. So there's a group that begins with the word P. It's called the Pavargas. Pa, Ba, and Ma, right? M. So each one of them stands for another binding element of this world. The P is parishrama. Parishrama means hard labor. You work 2 jobs, your wife has to work, this is this world. Work. So, so working so hard at all these jobs that foam, penila, comes from the mouth. That's the pH, pa. And then ba stands for 2 things, bondage, or vyartata, means frustration. You're working so hard, you still can't pay the rent. Oh my God. Vyartata. And then from all of this comes bhaya, BH, fear. I'm going to go on the street. I don't have enough health insurance. What about this pain over here? It's just a lot of fear. And then finally, after a life of all this, M, what do you think it stands for? Mrityu, Marana, yeah. So this is the Pavargas. But Apavarga means liberation from all of this, you see? Even in the present lifetime, you can feel liberated by bhakti. This is a great thing, and I'll explain that later. So, Apavarga Vartmani, so here's the things that develop in the association of devotees, meeting with good devotees who are giving good Krishna Katha, and you're responding and chanting like that. Shraddha, Ratir, Bhaktir Anukramishiti. These things develop step by step by meaningful, and the most important hearing and chanting, the association is Harinam Sankirtan. That's the essence of the whole thing. I hear, you chant, I hear. You see, and together we're dancing down the street and we're in Krishna consciousness. And so your faith grows from that. Because from that Harinam Sankirtan, a nice chanting of japa, in other words, the serious chanting of the holy name, trying to do it according to the rules and regulations, the do's and the don'ts, you develop faith. Krishna from within, he's giving you faith. You're experiencing something you've never experienced before. And so, anukramishiti, step by step, you develop your faith, your rati, your attraction for Krishna, and bhakti, which here means ultimately love of Godhead. It all begins with having enough faith to come into the association devotee. Adhau shraddha tataksaru sangha, the bhajana. The same thing in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So Krishna is giving us here different ways that we can think of him in our daily lives. And he's also in the beginning, in those 4 verses, those essential verses, he's giving us good instruction. Sorry you can't stay. We have kirtan at 8:15. You'll also be able to offer a lamp if you stay. You see? Good. See? No, it'll open at 8:15. Yeah, you'll have a nice kirtan. All right, any questions, comments on these points? There's of course, complete concert, confirmation with the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita. But the Bhagavatam goes into more detail. Okay, so where was I? It was 39? Right. Okay, I didn't do 39 yet, right? Right. Yat chapi sarvabhutanam Bijam taraham Arjuna. Natarasti vinayatsyan. Maya bhutam characharam. Furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. Nothing, moving or non-moving, can exist without me. Okay, purport. Everything has a cause, and that cause or seed of manifestation is Krishna. Without Krishna's potency, nothing can exist, either moving or non-moving. Therefore, he is called omnipotent. Whatever existence is not found on the energy of Krishna is called Maya, that which is not. I think we maybe have an editing problem. Whatever existence appears not to be founded on the energy of Krishna, because there's nothing in existence that is not founded on the energy of Krishna. You're right, isn't it? So I think it appears that you may think. So maybe we'll have a little adjustment there. Nantosti mama divyanam vibhuti nam parantapa eshatu deshitak prokto vibhute vistaromaya. Almighty Conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. Whatever I have spoken to you is but a mere inclination of my infinite opulences. So remember, this is called Vibhuti Yoga chapter. Every chapter in the original Sanskrit is a kind of yoga. So this one's Vibhuti Yoga, and that verse appears twice in this verse. That word appears twice, meaning Vibhuti Vistaro, opulences. Okay. Purport. As stated in the Vedic literature, although the opulences and energies of the Supreme are understood in various ways, there is no limit to such opulences. Therefore, not all the opulences and energies can be explained. Simply a few examples are being described to Arjuna to pacify his inquisitiveness. 41. Now this verse is often quoted because he's kind of winding up here. Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam Shrimadujitameva va Tattadevava gachatvam Mamate jong shatambhavam. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. Purport. Any glorious or beautiful existence should be understood to be but a fragmental manifestation of Krishna's opulence, whether it be in the spiritual or material world. Anything extraordinarily opulent should be considered to represent Krishna's opulence. Okay. And I think this is the final verse. Atava bhavanaitena kim gyatena tabarjana vishtibhyaham idham kritsnam ekankshena stito jagat. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Purport. The Supreme Lord is represented throughout the entire material universes by his entering into all things as the Supersoul. The Lord here tells Arjuna that there is no point in understanding how things exist in their separate opulence and grandeur. He should know that all things are existing due to Krishna's entering them as the Supersoul. From Brahma, the most gigantic entity, on down to the smallest ant, all are existing because the Lord has entered each and all and is sustaining them. There is a mission. You see that capital M there? You know what that mission is? Ramakrishna. There is a mission that regularly propounds that worship of any demigod will lead one to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or the Supreme Goal. But here in the 10th chapter, that idea is thoroughly discouraged. To completely eradicate this wrong idea, in this chapter, Lord Krishna informs us that even the greatest demigods like Brahma and Shiva represent only part of the opulence of the Supreme Lord. He is the origin of everyone born, and no one is greater than him. He is asamordva, which means that no one is superior to him and that no one is equal to him. In the Padma Purana, it is said that one who considers the Supreme Lord Krishna in the same category with demigods, be they even Brahma or Shiva, becomes at once an atheist. If, however, one thoroughly studies the different descriptions of the opulences and expansions of Krishna's energy, then one can understand without any doubt the position of Lord Sri Krishna and can fix his mind in the worship of Krishna without deviation. The Lord is all-pervading by the expansion of his partial representation, the Supersoul, who enters into everything that is. Pure devotees, therefore, concentrate their minds in Krishna consciousness in full devotional service. Therefore, they are always situated in the transcendental position. Devotional service and worship of Krishna are very clearly indicated in this chapter in verses 8 through 11. That is the way of pure devotional service. How one can attain the highest devotional perfection of association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead has been thoroughly explained in this chapter. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, a great acharya in disciplic succession from Krishna, concludes his commentary on this chapter by saying, Yat Shakti Leshat Suryajya Bhavant Yat Ugra Tejasaha Yadangshena Dvatam Vishvam Sakrishno Dashame Erchite. From Lord Krishna's potent energy, even the powerful sun gets its power, and by Krishna's partial expansion, the whole world is maintained. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna is worshipable. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of the opulence of the Absolute. So, any questions on this chapter? The next chapter is going to have even more opulences, kind of shocking opulences in some way. But we shouldn't think that that this next chapter is the summum bonum of the Bhagavad Gita, even though it's the most awe-inspiring. I think we can put it that way. Certainly, Arjuna is struck with awe at the last fear, ultimately. So, just again to just recap, we can begin this 11th chapter maybe in a few minutes, but. We hear occasionally in Srila Prabhupada's books, and he points out how the pure devotee sees God everywhere. An example is given of a tree. He doesn't just see a tree; he sees Krishna. You see, and how can you see Krishna? Well, even in our, just by getting the knowledge that you have affects how you see yourself in the world. That's a very important idea. That's why regularly studying Srila Prabhupada's books can gradually evolve the way you see yourself and the way you understand your goal in life. That was the basic question of Sanatana Goswami when he surrendered to Lord Chaitanya as the guru, right? So he puts a straw in his mouth and he bows down and says, Kami kenayamai jarita petrai. Who am I? Why am I suffering the threefold miseries? If I don't know this, what good is my life? And then he says, yeah, people think I'm a great scholar. He knows so many languages and everything. But if I don't know the answer to these questions, what good is that knowledge? So the importance of, from the first page of the Gita to the last, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing this point, that as human beings, we need this knowledge in order to begin our path toward the goal of human life. There is a goal. And the special thing about human life, which I always quote this verse, I'll not quote the verse today, but I'll just give the idea, is that it's a special gift. And the wonderful thing is every living entity comes up to the human form eventually. And who knows how many times we've had a chance and we muffed it and we went down again. But it's special because of the intelligence, because of the brain. We can understand these things. We don't have to just be pushed and pulled by the senses and the impulses like lower animals and things, right? Or let's face it, many, millions and billions of people in this world also are living on this bodily platform or mental platform. But it's really a tragedy because the human life is so valuable, and even a little advancement on this path can protect from the most fearful type of danger. That translation has been changed. It's danger. And the danger is to lose it. To be so wrapped up in sense gratification and sinful activities, and that you get thrown down into a lower species, such as the dogs. I'm not going to go into my morning walk, but I see so much affection toward the dogs. That's a problem. So anyway, this was Prabhupada. It motivated Prabhupada to come to America You know, we just celebrated his arrival at the end, near the end of September in Boston in 1965, after a really, you know, tough trip. You know, he didn't come on an airplane, didn't come on a cruise ship. He came on what do you call it? Yeah, just a ship that carries cargo ship, the Jaladuta. But he was determined to follow the order of his spiritual master, who early on, when he first met him, you know, probably was shocked. You know, he was a follower of Gandhi, and Bhaktisiddhanta. Even before they got seated, they offered their obeisance, he and his friend. Thank God for that friend who had to convince him to go see Bhaktisiddhanta. The whole thing is amazing. So they're coming, you know, sitting up, and before they even sit up, and they're obviously intelligent, you know, young men. You know, you could see that Bhaktisiddhanta. And so he said, "Why don't you, you know, preach Krishna consciousness in all over the world?" And Prabhupada says, you know, he confided about that meeting to Satsrup Maharaj or someone earlier. Said, "I had not even seated myself." I said, "This is kind of unusual, you know." I mean, and so Prabhupada, he debated him. You know, he said, "We're still dependent." Prabhupada was a real serious follower of Gandhi. "We're so dependent. Who's going to listen to us? You know, we need to get independence first." And Bhakti said, no. Krishna consciousness is so important, so exclusively important. It can't wait. You know, whether we're independent or not, we need to preach this. So that order, that instruction was repeated after that several times, and of course Prabhupada became initiated. You know, and he wanted to be, and the special thing, you know, one of the special features that Prabhupada had was that he was very good in English. He had studied English at Scottish Church's College, you know, and he was a good writer. And Bhaktisiddhanta said, you should write books. So anyway, you know, at age 69, he actually turned 69 on the boat. He celebrated Janmashtami on the boat. And of course, that's his appearance day also. And it was a grueling trip. You know, the movement of the ship, he got very seasick, and he got headaches, and he had two heart attacks. But, you know, he says in his Jaladuta diary, there's something called the Jaladuta diary, which I have, and it's amazing. And Prabhupada had written in there, if I have a third one, I'm, you know, finished. So Krishna appears to him in a dream. He said, don't worry, I'm taking charge of the ship. You know, and by that time he was in the Atlantic Ocean, which is the longest leg of the journey. And I know a little about the Atlantic Ocean. I grew up in Long Island, but mainly my period in Miami for 6 years. When the season comes, and they're still in it now, it's like July through at least late September, early October. Hurricanes are coming, and if they don't go, you know, they don't go to the mainland. They go out into the middle of the ocean where Prabhupada was. You know, it's dangerous. So there's all of this danger, but he was determined to do or die. So the third time, you know, he has his heart attack, and then Krishna comes in a dream. He says, "Don't worry, I'm going to take charge of the ship. You'll be all fine." And it was like a smooth lake after that, a miracle, you know. And the captain's wife was with him, and she said, "Swamiji, can you come back with us?" You know, she's kind of joking because that was the smoothest crossing we've ever had. Anyway, it's such a you know, moving saga of Prabhupada coming alone with no money and somehow, you know, struggling for a whole year, and then getting, you know, some traction, and then the whole thing, you know, developing in a few years, really miraculously. So we are beneficiaries of Srila Prabhupada's austerities and his sacrifice. And we should take the gift, beginning with the mantra, of course, and the books and the association, and try to enter into this process of bhakti yoga, and experience, and by which we can experience the highest happiness and the highest joy. We get, you know, such a taste of it in these festivals, because there's wonderful Govardhan festival, especially here, Radha Giridhari. But you know, now we're, you know, entering this. Then there will be Prabhupada disappearance, you know, observance next week. You should try to do that. I think it's on Saturday. Yeah, and Bhakti Sundar Swami's coming. Then he'll get a nice talk. So there's always new things coming, and even just, the morning program can become just an ocean of happiness and so forth. So we should take it seriously and really try to advance in devotional service. All right, we can begin this chapter. Okay, where is the mics? There's one mic missing, so we only have one. I guess it's still missing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So on the top of page 456,
Yes.
it talks about suppressing agents and then miscreants. That almost sounds like enforcement. I'm wondering what's being referred to there with suppressing agents. I mean, it almost sounds like a police force, enforcement, like governance type of.
Well,
I've never.
don't you think that Nrsingadev justly suppressed Hiranyakashipu? He's a miscreant. These miscreants can be pretty dangerous, Yeah, miscreants are demons, cruel, murderous. They need to be suppressed.
And so the suppressing agents just refers to. I mean, I guess I was interpreting it more along the lines of our society.
I am punishment. I am punishment. So they get punished in various ways. Sometimes they're killed. There are many suppressing agents, of which the most important of those that are those that cut down the miscreants. So Krishna did plenty of that, and he empowered so many others to do it. You think there's something wrong with that? Okay, I'm sorry. So what was the question?
I mean, it just kind of caught me by surprise because there's so much emphasis on life and compassion and empathy and then obviously this takes place in a battle itself as the background for it all, but it just sounds very.
Well, if you have to, read up on the literature because the Vrindavan pastime is a sweet, wonderful rasa dance and all of these. But there's all these demons that come because it's on the earth, and you have Kamsa who wants to try to kill Krishna because he thinks he's going to kill him, which he's right, and so he sends various demons, beginning with Putana. She's the worst. Killing babies and drinking their blood, can there be anything worse than that? So, but the amazing thing is that she was the only one really who was sent back to Godhead. I mean, the others got liberation, but so that was part of Krishna's Leela. Actually, the whole esoteric thing that he didn't really kill the demons as Krishna. He was in his Vasudeva expansion, but that's another thing. So they need Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. So the devotees need to be protected. That's the first thing, you see. And all these demons, they threaten the Arishtasura, and all of them were also, threatening the devotees. And so Krishna killed them in various wonderful ways. That's part of his pastimes. And they're benefited by that. They're purified by being killed by Krishna. Even the ones, they don't go back to Godhead, but they get liberation. They're liberated. You read about Aghasura, a big snake, it's wanted to swallow up Krishna. And his friends all were laughing and said, Krishna will take care of everything. And they walked right into the big demon, into the big monstrous python. And they did die, actually. So Krishna went in there and brought him back to life and expanded himself. He uses this technique several times, either as his arm expanding or he himself expanding, and choked Aghasura. So he was a miscreant. And but Aghasura, so then his soul came out, came out of his body, but Krishna was still inside. So he's waiting, and then when Krishna walks out with all the coward boys who he brought back to life, the soul merges into the body of Krishna, which is a definite upgrade for the demon. So they were killed, but they needed to be killed. Leave that body, which just stayed there, and it was burned and somehow produced this guru scent because he was purified, right? Anyway, it's all pastimes, and you see that all the demons who were killed, the asuras, they're benefited, they're upgraded, and for his friends, I mean, this is just a wonderful pastime. They would tell about it when they go home, and the mothers would all delight in it, like that. So all around is beneficial. So I don't think there's anything bad about it. Suppressing the demons.
I guess, if I may, it just sounded to me like it was being written for the So that, as I think of suppressing agents, I think of
Oh.
police force, I think of maybe sort of wars that are fought, things like that. And I don't know if that is meant to apply to the present tense or not.
Well, sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, even today, you know, I mean, if you read the Bhagavad Gita, I mean, this is on the battlefield after all, you know. So there's, I mean, it's kind of simplistic, the good guys and the bad guys, but you know, the Pandavas were agents of Krishna. They were law abiding, and their rule was important for Krishna. That they would rather than Duryodhana and his brothers and all of that. So it's good against evil. So it was Krishna's plan that thousands and millions of the miscreants would be killed. That was also part of his plan, and for the good of the earth, you know. And nobody, but you know, you have to remember this. You know, this is an important mantra. Every body dies. Nobody dies. Wake up, and open your eyes. You're not that body. You're a pure spirit soul. Chant the holy name and attain life's goal. That's the mission of the Hare Krishna movement. All right, we have time for a couple of more poems, if you'll allow me. Okay. All right, so we have some new people here. You haven't heard all of them. So I'll give us a few old favorites. So this is a meditation, which I didn't get to do yesterday. My little poems summarizing the Govardhan Leela. So if you'll allow me to do it, it'll take about 15 seconds. When Krishna stopped King Indra's sacrifice, that monarch of the heavens threw a fit. Those cowards took that foolish boy's advice. Such insolence I never shall permit. So Indra sent the clouds of devastation to pour down catastrophic hail and rain. With lightning, thunder, winds without cessation, the cowards called to Krishna in their pain. To show his coward friends his boundless love and crush King Indra's pride for his own good, Shri Krishna lifted Govardhan above and saved his friends while 'neath the hill they stood. Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All right, we have time for one or two more. So, this is one of my all-time favorites. Near the beginning of one of my favorite chapters, chapter 21, 10th canto, Venu Gita. So Krishna is walking into the forest, you know, with lovely peacock plume upon his head. This is like Barha Pidam Natavadavapu Karneo Karnikaram Bimran Vasak Karnaka Kapisham Vajayanting Chamalam Arandran Veno Hadadasudeha Pureham Gopa Vrindaram Yam Swapalanamanam Prabhishad Gita Kirti. With lovely peacock plume upon his head, and fragrant flower placed upon each ear, he entered Braja's wood with graceful tread, a handsome dancing actor without peer. His golden yellow raiment brightly glows, his splendid garland reaches to his knees, and from his luscious lips the nectar flows, and fills his flute with charming melodies. As Krishna thus begins his blissful day, with coward friends who sing his glory sweet, he beautifies Vrindavan's forest way with fine impressions of his lotus feet. And then when they get a little bit into the forest, Krishna and Balaram start running along the Yamuna, you see? Because now they're free of, you know, the parents and everything. You know, so they're running. Let's go, said Krishna, don't delay at all. And he and Balaram began to run ahead of all their coward friends who called, oh, Krishna, Rama, let us join the fun. And off they ran to Braja's forest haunts, to play in every bower, grove, and sward. That's a meadow. The boys would tease their friend with playful taunts, forgetting his position as the Lord. Shri Krishna is inviting us as well to join him in his pastimes, which enthrall. The wise heed Krishna when they hear him tell, let's go, my friends, do not delay at all. Okay, one more in that vein. Now they're out in the forest and they're playing everywhere, so Krishna is swinging high. For Krishna and his multitude of friends, a festival of joy each day would bring. A special thrill in Braja's forest glens was riding with him high upon a swing. O Ujjvala Sri Dhamma Bhadrasane, just see Vrindavan's bountiful delights. The peacock's dance, the songbird's sweet refrain, the lakes and hills and other scenic sights. All these make this the best place on the earth for us to play all day and herd the cows. Thus Krishna in a mood of sportive mirth, and enthralled, I think. No. I forget the word. Anyway, enthrall will have to do. Thus Krishna in a mood of sportive mirth enthralled his friends while singing from the boughs. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Okay, so let's adjourn on time and gather for nice kirtan before Shri Shri Radha Giridhari.